Okay. Wonder how big we're going to make this one. We're going all the way to 400. This will be an interesting one. Going to leave out the contrast for this one. And this one's going to need to be lightened right up. Okay, what is this one? Right. It is. I found out what these things actually are. They're business card holders. So you put your business cards. I don't have a business card, but I do think this would make a good demo. A bit of Australiana, a kangaroo and a koala and a nice jumping kangaroo. How typical, how fucking Aussie is this, you know, like it's really cheesy. It's quite cheesy, as, you know, sometimes Australiana's just so cheesy, so extreme, like it's just stereotypically Australian, like totally, you can tell, you know, like more ways than one, it's like it's a little bit too Australian for your liking, but apparently they think the tourists love this shit. Some tourists have been known to think that you see kangaroos jumping around in the city or across the harbour bridge. I think there was a wallaby that jumped across the harbour bridge on one day. I don't know how that happened and if it was true, but people always expect, and this has come up a real treat. So we're going to just make our image, but that looks really nice, and that's really good for something metallic. But yeah, it's like people often expect there to be kangaroos in the street. I think there was a wallaby, one sighting of a wallaby on the harbour bridge. I don't know where the fuck I got that information from, but that's pretty extreme. You don't see that every day. It's not a common occurrence that people sometimes... Well, I've heard that that's what people overseas think, that there are kangaroos in our streets. I mean, we do get some wildlife, some places in our country, like certain suburban areas. My mum lives in an area which is virtually on the back of a reserve, a national park or something, a small national park. And yes, she does get wallabies. She never used to get wallabies in the backyard, but now she does. And she gets scrub turkeys, which they never used to be there. Looks like climate change and global warming might be responsible for the migration of these creatures. She also gets plenty of ticks, and she had a time when she had some fleas, had a problem with fleas, and she reckoned the wildlife might have been carrying these, but we never used to have ticks and fleas. Oh yeah, we had one. I went to one neighbour's place, but it was a dog. They had dogs, and this was before they had really effective flea control. I saw fleas crawling over the tummy of a dog, but Mum got fleas earlier this year, and it wasn't to do with dogs, having a dog. She doesn't own a dog, and basically she was getting fleas, and somehow they disappeared. But basically they weren't there when I was, apart from the dogs that I just mentioned, the dog I just mentioned, or maybe other dogs, but we never had fleas when I was living there. And it was only recently that we started getting these problems, like ticks. If Mum goes outside in the garden, she's got to wear tick protection or repellent because she'll get bitten. And she's been bitten so many times this year. She's also had leeches in the grass, and she gets them on her legs, little tiny ones. So I'm telling you, there's something funny with this climate change and global warming. It's making these creatures, some okay, such as wallabies and scrub turkeys, but other things not so nice as ticks and fleas. So what's happening to our fucking country, and what's happening to the world, rather? There's just too much climate change and global warming, too much CO2. Fuck me dead, you know, I'm sick of... My mum's place is just getting all these funny creatures that never used to be there, and now they're... what can I say? There's got to be something happening. It never used to be like that. Even in 2012, I never saw leeches or ticks or fleas or wallabies. I don't know, or even scrub turkeys. So these were just recent years. So yeah, maybe you'll see more wallabies after all, at least in the areas neighbouring the national parks.